Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Native Flow English. I'm Sarah, your host for today. If you're new around here, let me give you the lowdown. We upload fresh English learning videos every single day to help you speak English more confidently and naturally in real-life situations. In today's masterclass, we're going to kick your English fluency up a notch, taking you from the B1 to the B2 level. Together, we'll dive into how to build your daily life vocabulary, connect ideas smoothly, and sound more fluent and natural in every conversation you have. This lesson is designed to help you improve your listening, speaking, and thinking skills in English, all at the same time. You'll pick up how to use more advanced expressions, transition words, and everyday conversation phrases that real English speakers use without even thinking twice. We'll run through real-life examples, the kind of English you'll need when you're chatting about your day, describing your plans, sharing your opinions, or telling a story in a way that's both natural and clear. And through some guided practice, you'll start to actually think in English instead of just translating every single word from your native language. By the time we wrap up this lesson, you'll feel way more confident expressing your thoughts clearly and smoothly. And you'll start to notice how your vocabulary naturally expands as you listen and speak along. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming English learning sessions. Now, take a nice deep breath, relax, and get ready to speak and understand English more confidently than ever before. Let's jump right in. Hello again. I'm so thrilled you're joining me today. Are you ready to take another big leap forward in your English learning journey? Every single time you listen, repeat, and practice along with these lessons, you're training your brain to think in English just a little bit faster, and you're helping your tongue to speak it a little bit smoother. That's how fluency grows. One gentle, consistent practice session at a time. Now, at the B1, B2 level, your English is definitely past the basics. You can usually understand most conversations without too much trouble. You can express your ideas pretty well, and you can follow along when you're watching movies or listening to podcasts. But the real challenge at this stage is all about the sound and the flow. The ability to speak naturally with rhythm, with confidence, and with real-life vocabulary that fits perfectly into those everyday moments. So, for today, I want you to imagine that you and I are chilling in a quiet cafe, just having a natural English conversation. You're totally relaxed. You're not overthinking things, and you're just letting the English flow out of you naturally. That's the mindset we're going to keep throughout this entire masterclass. Let's kick things off with a simple thought. Fluency isn't about how fast you can speak. It's about how smoothly you can speak. A lot of learners try to rush their words, thinking that speed equals fluency. But true fluency is about comfort, not pressure. When you speak calmly, your mind has enough time to choose the right words, connect sentences together, and express your emotions more clearly. So, let's dive into a short shadowing exercise together. Listen closely and repeat softly after me, really focusing on the rhythm and the tone of my voice. I wake up early every morning. I stretch my body. I take a deep breath and start my day feeling fresh and positive. Try saying it again, but this time, try to link the sounds together as naturally as possible. I wake up early every morning. I stretch my body and take a deep breath and start my day feeling fresh and positive. Can you feel how the words start to flow together like music? That's the real power of connection and rhythm. Now, let's switch gears and talk about vocabulary, because vocabulary is really the heart of your fluency. But you definitely don't need to memorize thousands and thousands of words. You just need to use the words you already know in different ways, in real contexts, and in your daily life. For example, take the word make. It's super simple, right? But at the B1, B2 level, you should really be using it in natural phrases like make time, make friends, make progress, make sense, and make an effort. Each of these phrases has a slightly different meaning, and using them automatically will instantly make your English sound way more natural. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. I'm trying to make time for exercise. It takes effort to make progress in English. Your explanation really makes sense. Excellent. Now, don't just repeat the words. Imagine you're actually saying these phrases to a friend in real life. That's how vocabulary becomes memory. Now, let's dig a little deeper. At this level, your main goal is to connect your sentences and expand your thoughts as smoothly as possible. Instead of giving short answers like, I like coffee, try saying something like, I like coffee because it helps me focus in the morning, and I just love the smell when it's freshly brewed. Notice how that longer version adds so much more life and rhythm to your sentence? Try practicing this with me. I'll say the first version, and then I'll say the expanded one. I'm tired. Now, the expanded version. I'm tired because I didn't sleep well last night, and I have a super busy day ahead. So, I really need some energy. That's how fluent speakers think, in connected ideas, not in isolated words. Let's make this a little more real. Imagine you're talking to a friend who asks you, how's your day going? Don't just say, good. That's way too short and basic. You could say something like, it's going well. I had a kind of slow morning, but I'm feeling much better now that I've had my coffee. Or, it's been a bit stressful, but I'm trying to stay positive and just focus on one thing at a time. These types of responses sound alive and natural. They show emotion, detail, and confidence. Now, one really powerful technique to help you reach that B2 level is to listen for chunks, which are just short word groups that always seem to go together. For example, a bit tired, pretty good, kind of busy, in a hurry, at the moment. These are just small pieces of natural English. You don't have to translate them individually. Just absorb them and try to use them naturally. Let's do a short exercise with some chunks. Repeat slowly after me. I'm a bit tired today. I'm kind of busy right now. I'm in a hurry. Can we talk later? At the moment, I'm focusing on my studies. Excellent. That's how you train your brain to think in patterns, not in single, isolated words. Fluency is really built through sound and repetition, not through just memorizing grammar rules. You probably already know most of the rules anyway. Now it's time to let go a little bit and just use them naturally. Remember, mistakes are definitely a part of fluency. Every single fluent speaker once sounded a little unsure. What really matters is that you keep talking and keep practicing. Let's take another real example from daily life. Imagine you're at work or you're studying, and someone asks you, "How's your project going?" instead of just saying, "It's okay." Try to expand on that a little. You could say, "It's going well, but it's definitely taking more time than I expected." Or, "I'm making progress, but I still have a few things to finish up." These small phrases, making progress, taking more time than expected, are perfect B1, B2 level vocabulary. Now, let's turn this into a short speaking practice. I'm going to describe a situation, and I want you to try to answer as naturally as you can. You're talking to your friend about your weekend plans. You could say, "I'm planning to go hiking this weekend because I really need some fresh air." Or, "I might just stay home and relax. It's been a crazy busy week." That's how natural English sounds: flexible, emotional, and personal. Let's try again. Imagine you're at a cafe and your friend asks you, "What are you working on these days?" You might say, "I'm really working on improving my English. I've been listening to English lessons every morning." Or, "I've started reading English books to try to build my vocabulary a bit." Each of these sentences shows confidence and self-awareness, which are perfect traits of a B1, B2 speaker. Now, pause for just a second and think about how you feel when you speak English. Do you ever worry about sounding wrong or maybe a little slow? That's totally okay. That's a pretty normal stage in the learning process. Every single speaker goes through that at some point. But remember this one thing: confidence doesn't come from knowing absolutely everything. It comes from using what you already know again and again until it just becomes effortless. So, today, as you're listening to this masterclass, repeat things aloud, speak slowly, and really enjoy the sound of your own English. The more you use your voice, the more fluent you're going to become. Fluency also grows when you start noticing the way that native speakers connect their ideas in conversation. They don't just throw out random sentences all over the place. They use connecting words like "actually," "in fact," "by the way," "to be honest," "so," and "anyway." These small connectors make your English sound supernatural and fluent, almost musical. Let's practice them naturally. I'll give you a few examples. Just listen first, and then repeat softly after me. "Actually, I wasn't expecting the weather to be so cold today. In fact, it started raining just as I left the house. By the way, have you finished your project yet? To be honest, I wasn't very productive yesterday. Anyway, let's talk about something else." These are just small words, but they really give your English a lot of personality and flow. Now, imagine you're in a casual chat with a friend. You could say, "Actually, I was just about to call you." Or, "To be honest, I'm a bit tired today." Notice how these connecting words really help you express emotion. They make your speech sound like real communication, not just something out of a textbook. Let's move on to pronunciation and rhythm for a moment. at this level, pronunciation isn't really about perfection. It's more about clarity and confidence. You definitely don't need a perfect accent to sound fluent. You just need to use intonation, that rise and fall of your voice that adds emotion and rhythm to your sentences. For example, try saying this sentence with a gentle rise and fall. I didn't have time to cook, so I ordered some food. Feel how your tone moves up and down? It's calm. It's natural. It carries emotion. Now, say it again, but this time, try to put a smile in your voice. I didn't have time to cook, so I ordered some food. Do you hear how it sounds more relaxed now? That's natural English. Let's shadow a few short lines for some pronunciation rhythm practice. Repeat softly after me. I woke up late today, but I still made it on time. I was planning to go out, but it started raining. I'm learning English every day, little by little. I feel more confident when I speak slowly. Beautiful. This kind of practice helps your brain connect English words to emotions, not just to grammar. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest secrets to reaching the B2 level, using description and detail. At the intermediate stage, a lot of learners tend to use short, direct answers like, "It's nice," "It's good," or "I like it." But fluent English speakers always add color and detail to what they say. Instead of just saying, "It's nice," you could say, "It's really nice." "I love the way it makes me feel relaxed." Instead of just saying, "I like music," try saying, "I like listening to calm music in the evening because it helps me unwind after a long day." See how the second version sounds so much more alive and fluent? That's how you bring English to life. Let's practice expanding short sentences together. I'll say the short one first, and then you try the expanded version after me. I'm tired. Now, say, I'm tired because I've been working all day, and my brain really needs a rest. Good. The movie was good. Now, say, the movie was good. It had a really interesting story, and the actors were amazing. Excellent. I like coffee. Now, say, I like coffee because the smell wakes me up, and it feels like a little treat every morning. That's fluency, building connection and emotion into your speech. Now, let's add a few adverbs and adjectives that fit really naturally into daily conversations. At the B1, B2 level, you should definitely start using words like really, quite, absolutely, totally, extremely, a bit, and kind of to make your English sound a little softer and more expressive. Let's practice a few. Repeat after me. I'm really happy with my progress. I'm quite tired today, but it's okay. I absolutely love this song. I totally forgot about the meeting. I'm a bit nervous before presentations. I'm kind of excited about my trip. See how natural and emotional they sound? Each word just adds a little extra personality and tone. Now, try building a mini conversation in your mind. Someone asks you, "How are you?" You could say, "I'm doing pretty well, just a bit tired after work." Or, "I'm absolutely great. I just finished a big project, and I feel really proud." Notice how your response becomes so much fuller and more alive, not just robotic? Let's pause here for a second and reflect on something super important. Your listening awareness fluency isn't only about speaking. It's also about really hearing English in real life and noticing all the patterns, the rhythms, and the sound connections. when you're listening to movies or podcasts, don't try to understand every single word that's being said. Instead, focus on chunks of meaning, the emotions that are being expressed, and the overall tone. For example, when you hear "you know what I mean," it's not just about the individual words. It's about the connection that's being made. When you hear "it's kind of funny," it's not just about the vocabulary. It's also about the tone and the attitude that's being conveyed. When you start noticing all those little details, you'll really begin to feel English rather than just simply understand it. Let's take a little listening style practice moment. I'm going to say a few sentences, and I just want you to focus on the rhythm and the tone. Don't worry about understanding every single word. It's been a long week, but I'm so happy it's finally Friday. I've been trying to eat healthier lately, and it feels great. You know, sometimes I just really need a little quiet time to recharge. To be honest, I didn't expect that conversation to go so well. Now, say them back slowly, one at a time, trying to copy my rhythm as closely as you can. This kind of slow shadowing is one of the most powerful tools for improving both your listening skills and your pronunciation at the same time. Let's move into something that's even more practical. Everyday vocabulary upgrades. For example, instead of saying "very good," try saying "excellent," "great," or "wonderful." Instead of saying "very bad," try saying "terrible," "awful," or "horrible." Instead of saying "very big," try saying "huge," "enormous," or "massive." And instead of saying "very small," try saying "tiny," "little," or "mini." Let's turn this into a short repeat after me session. That meal was excellent. The traffic today was terrible. Her house is enormous. This phone is tiny, but it works perfectly. Good. Using these alternatives really helps you sound more advanced and less repetitive. At this level, your focus should really be on natural variation. Try not to repeat the same adjective every single time. Try saying, "It was an amazing experience. It was a beautiful day. It was a peaceful evening. It was a stressful week, but I survived." Each phrase just expresses a different emotion, and that's really what real English is all about. Fluency is emotional. It's not just mechanical. When you speak, imagine you're painting a picture with your words. Each phrase adds a little bit of color to your story. When you say, "It was a peaceful morning," the listener can actually feel it. When you say, "I was completely exhausted," they can imagine your tired face. When you say, "I felt so proud," they understand what's in your heart. So, the next time you're speaking English, focus a little less on correctness and a little more on connection. Speak like you're telling a small story. Instead of just saying, "I went to the park," try saying, "I went to the park yesterday, and it was so quiet. I just sat under a tree and listened to the wind." You see how one simple line can become a beautiful and natural description? That's the B2 mindset. And remember, every single sentence that you speak is a chance to grow. The more you describe your feelings, your experiences, and your opinions, the more your vocabulary is going to naturally expand. You really don't need to memorize anything. You just need to live the language through your voice. Now, Let's practice something that's really going to make your English sound much more natural. Linking and reduction. These are just small pronunciation habits that native speakers use all the time without even realizing it. They connect words together so that your speech flows like a single stream, not as a bunch of separate blocks. For example, when a native speaker says, "I want to," it often sounds more like, "I wanna." What do you becomes whatcha. Going to becomes gonna. Let me becomes lemme. You definitely don't have to use these in every single sentence. But just recognizing them helps you understand fast English. And using them occasionally can make your speech sound much more relaxed and natural. Let's practice slowly. Repeat after me. I want to go for a walk. What do you think about that? I'm going to call her later. Let me check my schedule. Don't force the sound. Just let it flow gently. Now, try making your own sentences using these natural patterns. For example, I'm going to start reading more English books. Or let me tell you what happened yesterday. This way you're practicing not only pronunciation, but also fluency and confidence, all at the same time. Another key to advancing to the B2 level is to really think in English, not translate word by word from your native language. Translating just slows your brain down and really blocks your natural rhythm. So, how do you stop translating? By using mental images and situations. When you think of the word coffee, imagine the smell, the cup, the warmth. Don't think of the translation in your own language. When you think of rain, imagine the drops, the clouds, the umbrellas, not just the word in your language. That's really how children learn language, through senses, not through translation. Let's do a short practice together. I'm going to say a few words, and as you listen, try to imagine them clearly in your mind, without translating them. Ocean, morning, bus stop, laughter, notebook, rainy day. Good. Your brain just learned English visually, emotionally, and naturally. This simple exercise can really help you feel English instead of just studying it mechanically. Now, at this stage, you should also start building your ability to discuss ideas and express opinions, not just describe daily activities. This is what really separates the B1 learner from the confident B2 speaker. For example, instead of just saying, "I like movies," you could say, "I like movies because they help me relax, and sometimes they even inspire me." Or, "I prefer comedies because they make me laugh after a long day." Let's take another example. Someone asks you, "Do you like living in your city?" Instead of just saying, "Yes, I do," you could say, "Yes, I really like it. It's busy, but it has great restaurants and friendly people." Or if you want to give a more balanced answer, you could say, "I like it in some ways. The food is amazing, but the traffic can be really stressful." That's a B2 level response. Natural, realistic, and expressive. Let's do a small exercise together. I'm going to ask a few questions, and I want you to try to answer aloud in full sentences, giving reasons and examples. What's your favorite season of the year? You could say, "I love spring because the weather is pleasant, and everything just feels fresh and alive." Or, "I enjoy winter because I can stay cozy indoors and drink hot chocolate." Next question, what's something you've learned recently? You might say, "Recently, I've learned how to manage my time better." Or, I've started practicing English every day, and I can already feel a big difference. Now, one more question. What kind of music do you enjoy? You could answer, I usually listen to calm acoustic music because it really helps me focus while I'm studying. Or, I enjoy upbeat music. It gives me a lot of energy in the morning. When you answer with details, your English becomes not only more fluent, but also much more interesting. People really love to listen to speakers who share their small personal experiences. So, don't be afraid to talk about yourself a little. That's what makes conversations real. Let's move towards improving your sentence connection skills, which is another sign of more advanced English. Connecting sentences is really like connecting your thoughts smoothly, and you can do this by using linking phrases such as because, although, even though, so, since, while, and however. Let's practice these in context. I wanted to go out, but it was raining. Even though I was tired, I finished my work. Since it was sunny, we decided to go for a walk. I really enjoyed the movie because it was funny and really well written. I stayed home, however, because I wasn't feeling very well. Now, try saying your own sentences using these connectors. For example, I'm learning English because I want to travel more. Even though it's difficult, I'm not giving up. I'm staying home today because I really need some rest. That's perfect. Every single time you use these connectors naturally, you're building sentence fluency. Let's do a gentle shadowing practice. Speak with me at a slow, calm rhythm. I've been learning English for a few years, and I can finally see how much I've improved. Sometimes I forget words, but I keep talking because practice is much more important than perfection. Even though I make mistakes sometimes, I feel really proud of my progress. That's how you train your thinking flow. You're not stopping between words. You're letting your thoughts continue naturally. Let's talk a little bit about mindset. A lot of learners at the B1 level feel stuck. They can understand a lot, but they feel nervous when it comes to speaking. The reason isn't really a lack of knowledge. It's more about hesitation. Hesitation happens when your brain just doubts your ability to express your ideas quickly. But the cure is pretty simple. Practice output every single day. You can listen for hours and hours, but until you actually speak, your fluency just isn't going to grow. So, here's a practical exercise that you can do daily. The 1-minute talk. Choose any topic, like your morning routine, your favorite meal, or your plans for the weekend. And then just talk about it out loud for 1 full minute without stopping. Don't worry about mistakes or grammar. Just keep speaking. The goal is to build flow and confidence. Let's try one together right now. Your topic is my favorite time of day. Think for just 2 seconds. Now, start speaking. My favorite time of day is the evening because it's usually quiet, and I can finally relax. I usually make a cup of tea, read something, or watch a short video. It's the time when I can just be myself and recharge after work. Great. See how natural and smooth that sounded? You can do the same thing every day with new topics. Now, just one final thing before we pause for the next lesson. Remember that repetition is key to mastery. Listening to one good lesson 10 times is way better than watching 10 different lessons just once. Because with each repetition, your brain is catching new sounds, new rhythms, and new meanings. Fluency is built through familiarity, not novelty. So don't rush your progress. English fluency is really like watering a plant. Small, consistent care every single day is what makes it grow beautifully. Keep repeating, keep shadowing, keep speaking. And little by little, you'll start to notice that English just starts to feel like your second nature. Now, let's focus on something that can really transform your English at the B1, B2 level. Learning to think in complete ideas, not just in individual words. When you're speaking, you really don't need to translate each word in your mind. Instead, picture the situation clearly in your head and let the English just flow naturally through that image. For example, if you want to talk about meeting a friend, imagine the cafe, the laughter, the smell of the coffee, and your English is going to come out much more naturally because your brain is now connected to that moment, not just to a bunch of grammar rules. Let's try a short visualization practice together. Close your eyes for just a few seconds and imagine that you're talking to a friend about your weekend. Feel the warmth of the sun, the noise of people all around you, and the comfort of your drink in your hand. Now, start speaking softly. Last weekend was really nice. I met my friend at a small cafe near the park. We talked for hours about life, work, and travel. The weather was beautiful, and it just felt so relaxing. Did you feel how the words came more easily when you were imagining the scene? That's the secret. Emotion really unlocks expression. At this stage, your main goal is to just make your English more personal. When you're talking about your life, your emotions, and your thoughts, your sentences become more automatic, and your vocabulary feels much more real. For example, instead of just memorizing the word achievement, connect it to a personal story. Finishing my first English book felt like such an achievement. Or instead of just learning the word opportunity, say, this course gave me an opportunity to meet people from different countries. Every word that you connect to an emotion is going to stay with you for much longer. Let's practice some daily life vocabulary in context. Listen carefully and repeat after me slowly. I've been working on improving my communication skills. I finally got the opportunity to travel abroad. Learning English has opened so many doors for me. It feels amazing to express myself clearly. I'm proud of how far I've come. When you repeat sentences that express feelings, your pronunciation and confidence both improve naturally. Now, let's talk about another important skill, paraphrasing. This means saying the same idea in different words. At the B2 level, this is one of the most powerful abilities you can develop. It helps you continue conversations even when you don't remember a specific word. For example, if you forget the word exhausted, you can say, I'm really, really tired. If you forget delicious, say, the food tastes really good. If you forget nervous, say, I don't feel very comfortable right now. Let's practice paraphrasing through short exercises. I'll say a word, and you try to express the same meaning in another way. Difficult, you can say, it's not easy. Angry, you can say, I'm upset. Excited, You can say I can't wait for it. Expensive. You can say it costs a lot. Excellent. You see how you don't need to stop when you forget a word? That's real fluency. Let's try this in short conversation form. Imagine someone says, "How was the test?" and you forgot the word challenging. You can say, "It was quite hard, but I think I did okay." Or if someone says, "How was your vacation?" and you forgot amazing, you can say, "It was really nice. I had a great time." The key is to keep talking. Don't stop to search for the perfect word. Communication is about connection, not perfection. Now, let's bring in some daily life dialogues for practice. Imagine you're at work or in class talking about your day. Listen first, then repeat naturally with pauses. "I had a busy morning, but I managed to finish all my tasks." "I was supposed to meet my friend, but she had to cancel." "I've been studying English every evening for the past few months. I'm trying to get into the habit of reading before bed." Now, try to respond naturally to me. I'll ask you, "What are you working on these days?" You can say, "I'm focusing on improving my English vocabulary and speaking confidence." Or, "I've been working on my writing skills. I want to sound more professional in emails." Great. Your answers should always connect ideas together naturally like this. Let's shift into a little storytelling practice, which is perfect for B2 level growth. Storytelling trains your memory, sentence connection, and expression all at once. Let's create a short story together. Yesterday was a bit unusual for me. I woke up early planning to go jogging, but it started raining heavily. So instead, I stayed inside, made some tea, and decided to organize my closet. I found some old photos from my school days, and they made me smile. It's funny how small things can bring back so many memories. Now, try telling your own version of that story aloud. Change the weather, change the activity, but keep the structure: time, plan, change, reflection. That's how you practice fluency naturally through storytelling. Next, let's focus on emotional expression. This is what makes your speech sound alive. Don't just tell facts, express how you felt. For example, instead of saying, "I lost my keys," say, "I lost my keys and it was so frustrating. I spent an hour looking for them." Or instead of saying, "I watched a movie," say, "I watched a movie last night and it was so emotional I almost cried." See how feelings make your sentences real and human? Now, let's do a small exercise together. I'll give you short facts and you add feelings to them in your version. Ready? I had breakfast. You could say, "I had breakfast and it was delicious. I really needed that coffee. I went shopping. I went shopping, but the store was so crowded that I got tired quickly. I met a friend. I met a friend, and we laughed so much that time flew by." Excellent. Keep practicing this way until emotion becomes natural in your English. Let's also explore some common phrasal verbs that you can start using daily because these are a huge part of natural English. For example, give up, look after, find out, get along, run out of, take care of, turn on, and pick up. Let's practice them in context. I'll never give up on learning English. Can you look after my bag for a moment? I found out that she moved to another city. We get along really well at work. We ran out of milk, so I went to the store. I need to take care of this before the deadline. Please turn on the lights. I'll pick you up at the station. Now, you try forming your own sentences. For example, I'll never give up on my dreams. I need to look after my younger brother today. I found out that my favorite cafe is closing. We ran out of time, but will continue tomorrow. Beautiful. This is the level of fluency where you start to think in phrasal verbs automatically. Let's take one more moment to breathe and reflect. Fluency isn't something that appears one day. It's built quietly through these small practices you're doing right now. Every sentence, every repetition, every shadowing moment is rewiring your brain to make English flow more easily. So, be patient with yourself. You're not just learning English words. You're shaping a new voice, a new rhythm, a new part of your identity that connects you with the world. Every minute you spend here is an investment in confidence and self-expression, and that's something truly beautiful. At this stage of your English journey, you've already learned how to describe, explain, and express. Now, let's focus on interaction, responding, reacting, and keeping conversations alive. One of the most powerful habits to develop at the B1, B2 level is active listening. When someone speaks to you, don't just wait for your turn. Show interest through short, natural reactions. In English, we do this with small responses like, "Oh, really? That's interesting. I see what you mean. Exactly." Or, "No way." These little phrases keep the conversation flowing naturally, and they make you sound emotionally connected and confident. Let's practice some together. Imagine your friend says, "I just started a new job." You could reply, "Oh, really? That's great. How's it going so far?" Or they say, "I've been feeling tired lately." You can respond, "I see. Maybe you've been working too much." Simple, right? But these short responses add rhythm and warmth to your English. Try repeating after me slowly. "Oh, really? That's great. I see what you mean." Exactly. "No way? That sounds amazing." That must be hard. Feel how natural these phrases sound when you say them with emotion. Now imagine you're in a longer conversation. A friend is telling you about their weekend trip. Instead of just listening silently, you can react naturally. "Wow, that sounds relaxing. I've always wanted to visit that place. That must have been such a nice break." Good for you. These emotional reactions make you sound more fluent and friendly because real conversation is about connection, not just words. Let's take this a step further with follow-up questions. This is what fluent speakers do automatically to keep conversations interesting. For example, if someone says, "I went to the mountains last weekend," you can ask, "Oh, nice. How was the weather there?" Or, "Did you go hiking?" Or, "Who did you go with?" When you ask small, simple questions like these, you show curiosity and build a natural back and forth rhythm. That's what advanced fluency feels like. Let's do a quick practice round. I'll give you a line and you try to imagine a follow-up question. "I just watched a really good movie." Maybe you ask, "What movie was it?" Or, "What did you like about it?" "I bought a new phone." You could say, "Oh, really? Which one?" Or, "Do you like it so far?" "I started going to the gym." You might say, "That's great. How often do you go?" Perfect. This is how you build conversation flow in real life. Now, let's talk about confidence vocabulary. Words and phrases that make you sound sure and comfortable when expressing opinions. Try using expressions like, in my opinion, I believe, personally, I think, from my point of view. And as far as I'm concerned, these help you sound polite, calm, and fluent when sharing your thoughts. Let's use them naturally. In my opinion, learning English through daily practice is the best way to improve. Personally, I think confidence comes from speaking often. From my point of view, mistakes are just signs of progress. As far as I'm concerned, everyone can become fluent if they stay consistent. Now, try creating your own. Think about something you care about, maybe travel, food, or study habits, and express it politely using one of these phrases. For example, personally, I think breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Or, in my opinion, traveling teaches you more than books ever could. Excellent. The more you use these kinds of expressions, the more naturally your ideas flow. Let's also include some softening phrases, because fluent English isn't just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Instead of sounding too direct, native speakers often soften their tone with words like maybe, a bit, kind of, sort of, I guess, and I think. These make your speech sound friendly and polite. Let's compare. Instead of saying you're wrong, you can say, I think you might be mistaken. Instead of that's bad, you can say that's a bit difficult. Instead of I don't like it, try I'm not really a fan of it. This is what we call natural politeness. A very important part of B2 level communication. Let's do a little repeat after me practice. I think it's kind of interesting. Maybe we could try something different. I guess that's one way to look at it. It's a bit complicated, but I'll try to explain. Perfect. Keep these phrases in your daily speech. They make your English sound warm, balanced, and natural. Now, let's step into real-world conversation scenes to apply everything you've learned so far. Imagine you're in a meeting or a group discussion. You can start by saying, I'd like to share my opinion on that. Or, that's an interesting point. I see it a little differently. Or, could you explain that again? Notice how polite and confident these sound. They help you participate without fear or hesitation. Let's imagine another scene. You're talking to a friend who's sharing good news. You can say, wow, congratulations. Or, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. Or, you deserve it. Or maybe someone is telling you about a problem. You could say, I understand how you feel. Or, that sounds tough, but I'm sure you'll be fine. These are natural emotional responses that help you sound both fluent and kind. Now, let's focus on intonation practice, the music of English. Try repeating this slowly with me. Really? Rising tone? I can't believe it. Emotional tone. That's amazing. Falling tone. Are you serious? Rising again. This up and down melody is what makes your speech sound natural. Flat speech sounds robotic, but melody gives life to your words. Now, let's take a minute to reflect. When you speak English, are you listening to your tone? Do you sound flat or do you use emotion? Remember, People remember your tone more than your words. So, if you sound warm and confident, your English will always leave a good impression. Let's do a full conversation simulation now. Imagine you're meeting a new colleague. You say, "Hi, it's nice to meet you. How's your day going?" They reply, "Pretty good. Thanks. I just finished a big report." You can respond, "Oh, really? That must feel like such a relief." Then they say, "Yes, I've been working on it all week." You reply, "I can imagine. It must have taken a lot of focus." See how each line feels smooth and balanced. You're using rhythm, emotion, and natural connection. The perfect fluency combination. And always remember, fluency is not perfection. It's communication with confidence. Even native speakers make small mistakes all the time, but they keep going. So the next time you feel nervous about your English, take a deep breath, smile, and remind yourself you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be clear, calm, and connected every single day that you listen, repeat, and speak along. Your brain is building stronger English pathways. It may feel slow now, but progress is happening inside you every moment you practice. You're already communicating more smoothly than before. And your next level is only a matter of consistency. Now, let's take your fluency to a more natural level by practicing how to handle real-life conversations with flow. Think of your daily interactions at a cafe, at work, on a call, or while meeting someone new. The goal isn't to sound perfect, it's to sound real. When you speak naturally, you connect ideas smoothly and express emotions comfortably, just like a native speaker would. Let's start with a simple conversation example. Imagine you're ordering coffee. You don't need to use long sentences. Short, polite phrases are perfect. You can say, "Hi, can I get a cappuccino, please?" Or, "I'd like a black coffee with no sugar." When they ask for here or to go, you can say for here, please. Then you can add, "Oh, and could I get it with almond milk?" These are small but powerful habits. They show politeness, confidence, and fluency. Now, let's move to a different situation. Talking to a colleague or classmate, you might start with small talk like, "How's everything going today?" Or, "Busy day, huh?" These little lines open the door to conversation naturally. If they reply, "Yeah, it's been a long morning," you can say, "I know what you mean. I didn't sleep well last night either." That's how English conversation feels alive. Back and forth rhythm, not one-sided answers. Let's practice another scenario. Giving your opinion during a discussion. If someone asks, "What do you think about working from home?" you can say, "Personally, I think it's convenient, but sometimes it's hard to stay focused." Or, "In my opinion, it depends on the person. Some people love it, some prefer the office." These balanced, natural responses show maturity in your English thinking. Now, one of the biggest fluency skills is rephrasing your thoughts when you get stuck. You don't need to pause for too long or freeze when you forget a word. For example, if you forget the word schedule, you can say "my daily plan" or "the things I have to do today." If you forget destination, say "the place I'm going to." Communication always has another path. You just need to stay calm and keep moving forward. Let's practice together. Imagine you want to say, I need to reschedule our meeting. But you forget the word reschedule. You can say, I think we need to change the time of our meeting. Perfect. It sounds natural and fluent. Or you want to say, the movie was hilarious. But forget hilarious. You can say the movie was really funny. I laughed a lot. That's how you keep fluency going, even without perfect vocabulary. Another beautiful skill at the B2 level is using idiomatic expressions. Small, colorful phrases that make your speech sound native-like. Let's go through a few common ones that you can use every day. For example, once in a while means sometimes. Like, I go to the gym once in a while. Call it a day means to stop working, like it's late. Let's call it a day. In no time means very soon, like you'll be fluent in no time. On the same page means to agree, like we're finally on the same page about the project. Let's practice these together in context. Repeat slowly after me. I like to take a break once in a while. We worked hard, so let's call it a day. Keep practicing and you'll improve in no time. I'm glad we're on the same page now. Beautiful. Using idioms naturally adds a friendly and advanced tone to your English. Now, let's do a small story practice using idioms and natural connectors together. Listen carefully and repeat it after me. Yesterday, I was so busy with work that I barely had time to eat. By evening, I was exhausted, so I decided to call it a day. I ordered some food, watched a movie, and just relaxed. Sometimes you need to slow down once in a while. Do you feel how that sounds natural and rhythmic? That's what we're building here. Flow through connection. Let's now talk about emotional control while speaking English. Many learners feel nervous when they have to talk to native speakers or strangers. But here's the truth. Fluency grows fastest when you speak through small mistakes, not around them. Every time you make a mistake and correct it, your confidence grows stronger. So instead of saying, sorry, my English is bad, you can say, I'm still learning. Thanks for your patience. That single sentence changes how people see you. Confident and positive instead of unsure. Let's practice confidence phrases you can use anywhere. Repeat softly after me. I'm still learning, but I enjoy speaking English. Let me say that again. I want to explain it more clearly. I might make mistakes, but I'm trying my best. Thanks for correcting me. That really helps. These simple lines are powerful tools for emotional fluency. They show courage and self-awareness. Now, one key part of reaching the B2 level is understanding tone and context. English changes depending on where you are. Formal in meetings, casual with friends, polite with strangers. You don't need to memorize separate versions. Just adjust your tone slightly. For example, with friends, you might say, hey, what's up? But in a meeting, you'd say, good morning, how are you today? It's the same idea, just a different energy. Let's practice switching tone. Say it casually. Hey, can you help me with this? Now, more formally. Could you please help me with this? Casually, I'm going to grab lunch. Formally, I'm going to have lunch. See how small changes in tone create a big difference? That's how you sound natural in any environment. Now, let's talk about building your vocabulary through daily habits. Reading a short paragraph in English every day. maybe from an article, a story, or even subtitles, helps you learn new words in context. But here's the secret. Don't just read. Speak what you read. For example, after reading a sentence like, "She enjoys spending time outdoors," repeat it aloud and then change it to your own version. "I enjoy spending time outdoors on the internet too." Or, "My brother enjoys playing outside." That's how new words stick through use, not memory. Let's practice that idea now. Listen and repeat, then make your own version. He decided to start exercising regularly. Your version could be, "I decided to start reading regularly." Next, they moved to a new apartment last month. Your version, "I moved to a new apartment last year." She finally finished her project. Your version, "I finally finished my assignment." Excellent. This daily speaking habit turns passive vocabulary into active fluency. Now, take a moment to appreciate how far you've come. You can describe your life, share opinions, react naturally, use phrasal verbs, and manage real conversations. That's real progress. That's B2 level communication growing inside you. But remember, fluency is not a destination. It's a continuous journey. Every day you speak, you're refining your voice, your rhythm, and your expression. So, as you move forward, don't rush to perfection. Focus on connection. Speak every day to yourself, to your friends, or even to your mirror. Listen, repeat, and keep exploring new words through real experiences. Your English is not just improving, it's evolving with you. Now, let's go even deeper into the art of natural speaking, where confidence, rhythm, and connection come together. At this point in your journey, you already have enough vocabulary to express most ideas. But the goal now is to make your English flow effortlessly, just like water running smoothly without stopping. To do that, you need to let go of the pressure to sound perfect and focus instead on communicating naturally. Imagine you're having a friendly chat with someone, not an exam, not an interview, just a relaxed conversation. When you speak, think less about grammar and more about the idea you want to share, even if your sentence isn't grammatically perfect. If your listener understands you, then communication has succeeded. That's what fluency really means. Let's practice that mindset. I'll say a few short sentences and you'll repeat after me. Don't think, just speak. I'm doing my best every day. It's okay to make mistakes. I'm learning slowly, but I'm improving. Every word I say brings me closer to fluency. Feel the calm energy behind each line. That's the rhythm of progress. Now, one of the strongest ways to move from B1 to B2 fluency is by using natural transitions in your speech. These are small words that connect ideas smoothly. For example, actually, besides, as a matter of fact, on the other hand, at the same time, after all. And, these words help your conversation sound like a real flow of thoughts instead of broken sentences. Let's use them in real-life examples. Actually, I've been thinking about starting a new hobby. Besides, it's never too late to learn something new. As a matter of fact, I've always wanted to learn guitar. On the other hand, it takes time and practice. At the same time, it's something I'd really enjoy. After all, we should do things that make us happy. When you connect your thoughts like this, your English becomes smoother and more expressive. Let's try a short storytelling exercise using these transitions. Repeat after me slowly. Last week, I started reading a new book. Actually, I didn't plan to read it, but a friend recommended it. At first, I thought it would be boring. But as a matter of fact, it turned out to be really inspiring. Besides, it helped me practice new English words in context. After all, reading is one of the best ways to improve vocabulary naturally. Beautiful storytelling with connection creates natural fluency. Now, let's talk about another powerful area: reaction and tone control. Native speakers use tone to show emotions like surprise, excitement, or empathy. Let's practice emotional intonation. Repeat after me with feeling. Really? Show surprise? That's amazing. Show excitement. Oh no, that's terrible. Show sympathy. I'm so happy for you. Show joy. I can't believe it. Show curiosity or disbelief. Each tone adds meaning that words alone cannot. Now imagine real life. Your friend says, "I just got a new job." You respond, "Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations." Or they say, "I failed my test." You say softly, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Don't worry, you'll do better next time." These natural reactions make your communication real and human. That's emotional fluency, the secret ingredient of advanced speakers. Let's practice story expansion again, because at the B2 level, adding details is what makes your speech sound natural and confident. Listen carefully and repeat. I met an old friend yesterday. We hadn't seen each other in years, so it was really nice to catch up. We went for a walk, grabbed some coffee, and talked about our memories. It felt like time hadn't passed at all. See? Okay, let's get started with some everyday vocabulary practice. Listen closely, and then repeat after me nice and slow. I've been trying hard to get better at talking to people. I finally got a chance to go overseas. Learning English has really opened up a lot of opportunities for me. It feels great to be able to say what I mean clearly. I'm really proud of how far I've come with it. When you repeat sentences that show how you feel, your pronunciation and how confident you are will both get better without you even trying. So now, let's talk about another skill that's super important: paraphrasing. What that means is saying the same thing, but using different words. Once you hit that B2 level, being able to do this is one of the most useful things you can learn. It helps you keep a conversation going, even if you can't remember the exact word you wanted to use. For example, if you can't remember the word exhausted, you could just say, "I'm really, really tired." Or if delicious escapes you, you could say, "The food tastes really good." And if you're struggling to remember nervous, try, "I don't feel very comfortable right now." Let's practice paraphrasing with some quick exercises. I'm going to say a word, and you try to say the same thing in a different way. Difficult, you could say, "It's not easy." Angry? Try, "I'm upset." Excited? You can say, "I can't wait for it." Expensive? You can say, "It costs a lot." Excellent. See how you don't need to just stop talking when you forget a word? That's what real fluency is all about. Now, let's try this in a short conversation. Imagine someone asks you, "How was the test?" and the word challenging just won't come to mind. You could say, "It was pretty hard, but I think I did okay." Or if someone asks, "How was your vacation?" and you've forgotten the word amazing, you could say, "It was really nice. I had a great time." The important thing is to keep talking. Don't stop to try and find the perfect word. Talking is about connecting with people, not about being perfect. Okay, let's bring in some everyday conversations for practice. Imagine you're at work or in class, and you're talking about your day. Listen first, and then repeat naturally, with pauses. "I had a busy morning, but I managed to finish all my tasks. I was supposed to meet my friend, but she had to cancel. I've been studying English every evening for the past few months. I'm trying to get into the habit of reading before bed." Now, try to answer me naturally. I'll ask you, "What are you working on these days?" You could say, "I'm focusing on improving my English vocabulary and how confident I feel when I speak." Or, "I've been working on my writing skills. I want to sound more professional when I write emails." Great. Your answers should always connect ideas together naturally like that. Let's switch gears and do a little storytelling practice, which is awesome for getting to that B2 level. Telling stories helps your memory, how you connect sentences, and how you express yourself, all at the same time. Let's make up a short story together. Yesterday was a little weird for me. I woke up early and was planning to go jogging, but it started raining really hard. So instead, I stayed inside, made some tea, and decided to organize my closet. I found some old photos from my school days, and they made me smile. It's funny how little things can bring back so many memories. Now, try telling your own version of the story out loud. Change the weather, change what you did, but keep the same structure: time, plan, change, and reflection. That's how you practice fluency naturally, by telling stories. Next up, let's focus on showing how you feel. That's what makes your speaking sound alive. Don't just say the facts, show how you felt about them. For example, instead of saying, "I lost my keys," say, "I lost my keys, and it was so frustrating. I spent an hour looking for them." Or instead of saying, "I watched a movie," say, "I watched a movie last night, and it was so emotional. I almost cried." See how your feelings make your sentences real and human? Let's do a quick exercise together. I'll give you some basic facts, and you add how you felt about them in your version. Ready? "I had breakfast." You could say, "I had breakfast, and it was delicious. I really needed that coffee." "I went shopping." "I went shopping, but the store was so crowded that I got tired really quickly." "I met a friend." "I met a friend, and we laughed so much that time just flew by." Excellent. Keep practicing this way until showing emotion becomes a natural part of your English. Let's also look at some common phrasal verbs that you can start using every day. They're a huge part of sounding natural in English. For example, give up, look after, find out, get along, run out of, take care of, turn on, and pick up. Let's practice them with some examples. I'll never give up on learning English. Can you look after my bag for a moment? I found out that she moved to another city. We get along really well at work. We ran out of milk. So I went to the store. I need to take care of this before the deadline. Please turn on the lights. I'll pick you up at the station. Now, you try making your own sentences. For example, I'll never give up on my dreams. I need to look after my younger brother today. I found out that my favorite cafe is closing. We ran out of time, but we'll continue tomorrow. Beautiful. This is the level of fluency where you start to use phrasal verbs without even thinking about it. Let's take a second to breathe and think about what we're doing. Fluency isn't something that just happens overnight. It's built little by little through these small exercises you're doing right now. Every sentence, every repetition, every time you're shadowing, you're rewiring your brain to make English flow more easily. So be patient with yourself. You're not just learning English words, you're building a new voice, a new rhythm, a new part of who you are that connects you with the rest of the world. Every minute you spend here is an investment in your confidence and how you express yourself. And that's something truly awesome. At this point in your English journey, you already know how to describe things, explain things, and express yourself. Now, let's focus on interacting with people, responding to them, reacting to what they say, and keeping conversations going. One of the best habits to get into at the B1, B2 level is active listening. When someone's talking to you, don't just wait for your turn to speak. Show that you're interested by making short, natural reactions. In English, we do this with little responses like, "Oh, really? That's interesting. I see what you mean. Exactly." Or, "No way." These little phrases keep the conversation flowing naturally, and they make you sound like you're emotionally engaged and confident. Let's practice some together. Imagine your friend says, "I just started a new job." You could answer, "Oh, really? That's great. How's it going so far?" Or they say, "I've been feeling tired lately." You can respond, "I see. Maybe you've been working too hard." Simple, right? But these short responses add rhythm and warmth to your English. Try repeating after me slowly. "Oh, really? That's great. I see what you mean. Exactly. No way. That sounds amazing. That must be hard." Feel how natural these phrases sound when you say them with feeling. Now imagine you're in a longer conversation. A friend is telling you about their weekend trip. Instead of just listening quietly, you can react naturally. "Wow, that sounds relaxing. I've always wanted to visit that place. That must have been such a nice break. Good for you." These emotional reactions make you sound more fluent and friendly. Because real conversation is about connecting with people, not just about the words you use. Let's take this one step further with follow-up questions. This is what fluent speakers do without even thinking about it to keep conversations interesting. For example, if someone says, "I went to the mountains last weekend," you could ask, "Oh, nice. how was the weather there? Or, did you go hiking? Or, who did you go with? When you ask small, simple questions like these, you show that you're curious and you build a natural back and forth rhythm. That's what advanced fluency feels like. Let's do a quick practice round. I'll give you a line, and you try to come up with a follow-up question. I just watched a really good movie. Maybe you ask, what movie was it? Or, what did you like about it? I bought a new phone. You could say, oh, really? Which one? Or, do you like it so far? I started going to the gym. You might say, that's great. How often do you go? Perfect. This is how you build conversation flow in real life. Now, let's talk about confidence vocabulary. Words and phrases that make you sound sure of yourself and comfortable when you're sharing your opinions. Try using expressions like, in my opinion, I believe, personally, I think, from my point of view, and as far as I'm concerned. These help you sound polite, calm, and fluent when you're sharing your thoughts. Let's use them naturally. In my opinion, learning English through daily practice is the best way to improve. Personally, I think confidence comes from speaking often. From my point of view, mistakes are just signs of progress. As far as I'm concerned, anyone can become fluent if they stay consistent. Now, try creating your own sentences. Think about something you care about, maybe travel, food, or study habits, and express it politely using one of these phrases. For example, personally, I think breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Or, in my opinion, traveling teaches you more than books ever could. Excellent. The more you use these kinds of expressions, the more naturally your ideas will flow. Let's also include some softening phrases, because being fluent in English isn't just about what you say. It's about how you say it. Instead of sounding too direct, native speakers often soften their tone with words like maybe, a bit, kind of, sort of, I guess, and I think. These make your speech sound friendlier and more polite. Let's compare. Instead of saying you're wrong, you can say, I think you might be mistaken. Instead of that's bad, you can say, that's a bit difficult, instead of I don't like it. Try I'm not really a fan of it. This is what we call natural politeness, a very important part of B2 level communication. Let's do a little repeat after me practice. I think it's kind of interesting. Maybe we could try something different. I guess that's one way to look at it. It's a bit complicated, but I'll try to explain. Perfect. Keep these phrases in your everyday speech. They make your English sound warmer, more balanced, and more natural. Now, let's step into some real-world conversation scenarios to use everything you've learned so far. Imagine you're in a meeting or a group discussion. You can start by saying, I'd like to share my opinion on that. Or, that's an interesting point. I see it a little differently. Or, could you explain that again? Notice how polite and confident these sound? They help you participate without feeling scared or unsure of yourself. Let's imagine another scene. You're talking to a friend who's sharing good news. You can say, "Wow, congratulations." Or, "That's awesome. I'm happy for you." Or, "You deserve it." Or maybe someone is telling you about a problem. You could say, "I understand how you feel." Or, "That sounds tough, but I'm sure you'll be fine." These are natural emotional responses that help you sound both fluent and kind. Now, let's focus on intonation practice, the music of English. Try repeating this slowly with me. Really, rising tone. How simple details can build rhythm, story, and evoke emotion. That's the key to sounding fluent in English. So, let's increase your vocabulary so that you can be even more precise in your speech. I'll give you some really useful adjectives and expressions that B2 speakers use all the time in daily life. Listen, then repeat after me. Slowly. I was completely exhausted after work. The view from the mountain was breathtaking. The food was absolutely delicious. The movie was surprisingly emotional. The city was crowded but full of life. The music was so relaxing that I almost fell asleep. Now, let's take those adjectives and put them in a short story. It'll help you really feel them. Last weekend, my friends and I went on a short trip together. The weather was perfect, sunny and calm, and the food was absolutely delicious, especially the local dishes that we tried. We hiked up to a hilltop, and the view from there was truly breathtaking. By the end of the day, I was completely exhausted, but also incredibly happy. Do you hear how rich and natural that sounds? You're expressing both action and emotion. That's B2 fluency right there. Let's just take a quick break to reflect for a minute. When you practice English this way, by repeating sentences, trying to feel the emotion, connecting ideas, you aren't just learning the language. You're actually training your brain to live in English. After a while, your inner voice starts thinking in English too. Not translating, but thinking directly in meaning. That's when fluency really becomes natural. Now, let's work on expressing your own opinions and feelings. Because advanced fluency means you can express what you think and how you feel about it. For example, I think learning a new language is definitely challenging, but I also think it's one of the most rewarding experiences you can have. I feel so happy when I can understand a conversation without having to read subtitles. I believe that practice is way more important than perfection. And I'm really proud of myself for not giving up when things get tough. Try repeating those slowly after me and really let each line sink in emotionally. I think learning a new language is challenging, but it's rewarding. I feel happy when I understand native speakers easily. I believe practice matters more than perfection. I'm proud of myself for improving little by little. Great job! Now, you're not just speaking English. You're expressing your authentic self in English. For the last little challenge of this section, I want you to listen carefully. I'm going to give you a short monologue, and I want you to try to catch how the ideas connect. Lately, I've been trying to wake up earlier so that I can have a calm morning routine. At first, it was hard because I really love sleeping in. But after a few days, it started to feel amazing. I use the extra time to read, stretch, and drink my coffee slowly. And it really helps me start the day in a peaceful mood. I think small habits like this can really change your life. Now, I want you to shadow that story. Speak it slowly, paying attention to the rhythm, the emotion, and the calm tone. This kind of shadowing is great because it helps you combine all of your skills: listening, pronunciation, rhythm, and memory. You're doing an amazing job, step by step. Your English is becoming smoother, more emotional, and much more alive. And every new sentence that you repeat adds another layer of confidence. Keep listening, keep feeling, and keep speaking, because fluency isn't some place that you reach. It's something that you grow into through consistent connection and practice. Now, we're going to continue building your confidence and fluency by focusing on something that many learners overlook: the mindset of a fluent speaker. At the B1, B2 level, your goal isn't just to understand English, it's to feel comfortable living in it. That means expressing yourself freely, reacting naturally, and staying calm even when you don't know every single word. A fluent speaker isn't someone who never hesitates. It's someone who keeps the conversation going smoothly, even with a few small pauses. Picture this: you're in a conversation and you suddenly forget a word. Instead of freezing up or panicking, you could just say, "What's the word? It's like," or "I don't remember the exact word, but it means." That keeps the conversation flowing and shows confidence. Native speakers do this all the time. They don't worry about making mistakes. They just focus on communication. So, the next time you're speaking English, don't just stop because you can't think of a word. Describe it, paraphrase it, or just keep going. That's real fluency. Let's practice handling those moments naturally. Repeat softly after me. I don't know how to say this exactly, but it's kind of like, what I mean is, "Jag kan amha." Let me think for a second. You know, it is similar to beautiful. These little expressions are your safety net in a conversation. They give you time to think without interrupting the flow. Now, let's practice conversation flow again with some short real-life examples. Imagine someone asks you, "What did you do over the weekend?" You could answer, "Oh, not much. I just stayed home and relaxed." Or, "I met up with some friends. We had dinner and talked for hours." If they ask, "Did you have fun?" you could say, "Yeah, it was great. We laughed a lot." See how simple, natural, and full of life those answers sound? That's exactly what fluency feels like. Effortless connection. Let's go a little deeper with storytelling through emotion. Imagine you're describing a day that didn't exactly go as planned. You could say, "My morning was a total disaster. I woke up late, I missed the bus, and I spilled coffee all over my shirt. But honestly, by the afternoon, I was laughing about it." Sometimes days like that just remind me not to take things too seriously. Do you hear how that story feels honest, emotional, and real? That's authentic English. Simple, but full of feeling. Now, repeat after me slowly, focusing on the rhythm and natural pauses. My morning was a disaster. I woke up late and missed the bus. I spilled coffee on my shirt, but by the afternoon I was laughing about it. Sometimes days like that remind me not to take things too seriously. That's how your English becomes more expressive and human. Not just correct, but alive. Let's move on to another essential skill: expressing agreement and disagreement politely. Native speakers rarely just say yes or no. They often use softer phrases to sound more natural and friendly. For example, instead of just saying, "I agree," you could say, "Yeah, I totally agree with you." Or, "That's true. I feel the same way." Instead of just saying, "I disagree," you could say, "I'm not sure I see it that way." Or, "That's an interesting point, but I think." These small differences make your English sound more confident and respectful. Let's practice these lines naturally. "I completely agree with you." "That's a good point." "I think you're right about that." "I see what you mean, but I have a different opinion." That's an interesting perspective. "I'm not sure I would say it exactly like that." Excellent. These are everyday conversation tools that you can use in work meetings, in casual talks, or even in study discussions. Now, let's talk about expressing emotions more deeply. This is another key part of B2 fluency. Instead of just saying, "I'm happy," you could say, "I'm really glad about that," or "That made my day." Instead of just saying, "I'm sad," you could say, "I felt a bit down," or "It broke my heart." And instead of just saying, "I'm angry," you could say, "That really upset me," or "I was so frustrated." Emotions in English are often expressed a little more softly. And this can make you sound more natural and emotionally intelligent. Let's practice together. I'm really glad you liked it. It made me so happy. I felt a bit disappointed. I was really frustrated. It broke my heart when I heard that. That made my day. Beautiful. Now you're expressing emotion, not just information. Let's build a short daily conversation using these expressions. "Hey, how was your day?" "It was great. I finished my project and my boss was really happy with it." "That's awesome. Congratulations." "Thanks. It really made my day." Or another wisdom. "You look a bit tired. Are you okay?" "Yeah, just a bit stressed. I've been working nonstop lately." "I get it. Make sure you rest." That's how natural connected English sounds: soft, emotional, and supportive. Now, let's practice describing your experiences in more detail. Imagine someone asks you, "Have you ever traveled abroad?" Instead of just saying, "Yes, I have," try, "Yes, I went to Italy last year. It was beautiful. The food, the people, everything. I loved walking through the small streets and trying local dishes." That's how you add color and depth to your answers. Let's try another example. What do you like about learning English? You could say, "I love learning English because it connects me with people around the world. It makes me feel so confident when I can express my ideas clearly." Or, "It helps me understand songs and movies better, and that's really fun." These are real human answers that show your passion and your personality. Now, imagine yourself 1 year from today. You've been practicing consistently, speaking a little bit every day, listening attentively, shadowing native speakers, and reflecting on your progress. You wake up one morning, have a conversation with someone in English, and realize something amazing. You didn't have to translate in your head. You didn't hesitate or struggle to find the right words. You simply spoke naturally and spontaneously. That's the moment you'll realize, "I've achieved fluency." And you'll smile. Not because it happened overnight, but because it gradually developed within you through lessons like this, through small steps forward, and through unwavering belief in your own abilities. Before we wrap up, I want you to remember one fundamental truth. Language learning isn't about innate talent. It's about consistent effort. Every few minutes you dedicate to practicing English brings you one step closer to mastery. Speak, even when you feel unsure of yourself. Listen, even when you don't understand every single word. And keep your mind open and receptive, because confidence and curiosity are the best teachers on the path to fluency. So, as we conclude this masterclass, take one final deep breath and let these last words sink in. You are capable of achieving your goals. You are steadily improving your skills. And you are already well on your way to advanced English fluency. Keep listening actively. Keep speaking confidently. And keep believing in your own voice. English will eventually cease to feel like a foreign language. It will become integrated into your thoughts, your emotions, and your everyday interactions. Thank you for dedicating this time to learning and growing with me today. You've done something truly valuable for yourself, something that will continue to pay dividends every time you open your mouth to speak. Remember, progress doesn't always feel rapid, but it's happening subtly within you every single day. So, until next time, keep practicing diligently, keep smiling brightly, and keep moving forward with unwavering confidence. You're not just learning English anymore, you're living it.